Looking to improve your life, brush up on your personal growth techniques? You are in the right place. Welcome to Life's Little Lessons with your host, author of Designing Your Own Destiny, Kevin A. Dunlap.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Kevin Dunlap, and welcome back to Life's Little Lessons. Today, I have a lady that I just met a couple of weeks ago at an event that I have actually already talked to you about a couple of the other episodes. But this is a lady that I thought was she had a phenomenal story, and she had a phenomenal business. So I wanted her to bring her to the show. Her name is Annette Waters, and the name of her company is called MySkool. She's a speech language pathologist. And I want to find out more of what she does. And again, Annette, welcome to the show. It's great having you here today.
Thank you, Kevin. It's nice being on the show. I'm very honored to be here, actually. It was great meeting you at the event and kind of getting to know you and learning more about your business. So thank you so much. Oh,
it's my pleasure. And it's always great to have, another successful business owner, another lady business owner on the show. In my opinion, it's just that so many times that you guys don't start your own businesses. So it's great to have somebody that's actually doing things. And what I had gathered, you've actually owned multiple businesses.
Yeah, I do. I actually have also a clean eating meal prep company, and we basically deliver healthy food to families, and we do catering events all over here in the Bay Area in California. And we just try to teach people how to have a healthy relationship with food, because I feel like people abuse food, whether it's they eat too little or they eat too much. And so that's really kind of another passion of mine, is just teaching people how to integrate food into their diet in a healthy way, or into their diet in a healthy way, so they don't feel like they're having to leave things out, but they are not depriving themselves,
Now, is this vegetarian based, vegan based, or is meat actually in your meal prep?
Yeah, we actually have meat in our meals now. I'm leaning towards doing a plant-based meal prep company here within the next month or so, but I'm still on the fence about it, because a lot of my clients right now are like, no. But it can be healthy too. You just have to get organic. Make sure you know where you're getting your meat from your vendors, and making sure that you're getting it organically. And so I mean, meat's good for you also. It just kind of depends on what client base you're going for.
Okay. Well, the main reason we have you on the show is for your company, MySkool. Could you tell me a little bit about that, and how did you get started, and why are you doing this company?
MySkool is a little bit more. I'm a speech therapist, but I consider myself an educator for kids, and I love to teach kids in the real world environment. I got into speech because I got a psychology degree, a bachelor's, and kind of didn't know where I was going next. My mom actually got brain cancer, and it was she didn't have a stutter or anything, but I noticed that her speech was a little bit off when she first came out of surgery. And so I started looking into speech therapy, and I was very attracted to it. So I decided that's the route I was going to go in. And I know that was the job I was supposed to do. It's really rewarding to me. But my MySkool business was based off of the fact that I feel like kids need to learn in the natural environment and learning in the real world. So when I had my daughter, I basically just didn't have TV, didn't have video games, and I just taught her in the real world. And I really noticed a difference in her learning, and maybe some of her friends learning, and her capacity to really retain information. So MySkool was kind of based off that concept. So I do speech therapy, I do academic, counseling, I do parent advocacy, all within the community. So I go to their house, so we may go to Boy Scouts or guitar lessons, and I help kids with special needs and general ed kids, really be able to communicate effectively in those environments that they might have trouble with otherwise, because most of the kids, they get their services in school, and a lot of those services are done in a speech room, sitting in a chair with a therapist, and that's not really the real world. So they get out there, and then they try to use those language skills with their friends, or when they become part of a team, or those social skills, and they just fall apart. So I created MySkool, and MySkool basically is the complete opposite of that. It's basically putting them in those situations and going with them to whatever it might be that they're having struggles with, and teaching them in the moment, because there's no better way to learn, I feel. And same with learning about math and science and all that. We may go to the grocery store and we'll learn about describing or science and weighing. I just feel like that's really how kids are going to retain the information when they're applying it. So that's what MySkool is based off of.
And how long have you been doing business?
I've had my own practice for about 4 years, but 2 years ago I left the public school system. I was a speech therapist there, and really kind of started getting this MySkool up and going. So I've had clients of my own for about 5 years or so.
Oh, wow. Okay. And obviously you're using a lot of these techniques on your own daughter as well.
Yeah. I mean, when I had my daughter, I knew that, I wanted to obviously provide her with the best education, and what would that be, and I think public schools are great. Private schools are great. So I kind of tried a little bit of everything. She went to private school up until a few months ago. Now she goes to public school and she loves it, her new school. But I really just, when we travel to Europe and all different places, and just really showed her how to learn that way, because I think it's more valuable. I mean, for me, you go to school, it's kind of like a socialization type thing, and then I'm really the one that's responsible for educating her. That's how I feel. So I feel like she's learned so much that she's really far ahead of her time as far as knowledge and being able to retain whatever information she learns. She applies it, and that's a huge difference that most kids don't learn.
And so for the clients that you have right now, what kind of improvements or what kind of things have you seen with their kids since they hired you in here as their, I don't know if you would call it a mentor, or pathologist?
Yeah, it's interesting, so I've worked with some kids. One of my clients actually I had in the school system. I've worked with him since he was in kindergarten. He's now in fourth grade. And so I work with him now in my company, not in the school system. And I've seen so much more improvements since I left the school to work with him in the community, because he wasn't getting that community base. And so he knows what to say in the speech room. Like, he has all the right dialogue, and he knows the way he's supposed to act. But then, he got into the real world and he just wasn't able to apply it. And so I've seen huge improvements for him to be able to be on baseball teams, for him to be able to do kind of one-on-one guitar lessons. He's going to join Boy Scouts. Even family events, I went to a couple family events with them because he had difficulty communicating with his cousins. He would get really frustrated because he's on the spectrum and they didn't understand that. And so being able to give him tools with the family has made a huge difference. So it's really life-changing for the family also, because the parents kind of are pulling their hair out because either the school's saying that he's doing so great, and then, they get him in at home and he's, a wild child or getting in trouble and can't join any of these teams that he wants to join. So it's, I definitely feel like it was the right way to go in my career, and there's a huge need for it. So I'm trying to expand it as well and trying to get out there as many people as I can. Because a lot of people don't even know that it's available for something like that, because there's not many speech therapists that do that, go into the actual community with them.
Yeah, I guess that's true, because usually they will have their own office or something like that, and then they need to go there, and now it's more of a clinic or stale environment, at least from the client's perspective.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I had my own office, and it was basically just like to interview the parents, more or less. But it just isn't, it's just not helpful for the student. I mean, we can go over it, we can role play it as many times, but they're comfortable with you, and there's no outside noises, there's no distractions. It's just not, real life. And that doesn't mean that they don't grow in their speech classes at school. That's not, what I'm saying, but they need something else. And a lot of that times it isn't out there, especially insurance providers. They're not providing that for students these days. It's really limited on who gets insurance. So the parents are kind of at a loss for what to do. So yeah, I mean, I've seen it take huge leaps and bounds. I've also incorporated some of my fitness and nutrition with them also, and being able to kind of integrate it all. And that's really helped with their diet, because diet has a lot to do with your energy levels and, the way that you're feeling and your tiredness, which also affects your communication, obviously.
Well, and what kind of signs would you say parents should be looking for before they would reach out to somebody like yourself?
Well, I mean, I work with mainly kids with special needs, but I've also worked with general ed kids. So it really could be if your child is having behavior difficulties, you feel like in the community, or they're not fitting in at school, they're having difficulty making friends, if they're not understanding, basic concepts, or if they're bored. That's another thing. A lot of kids these days are playing video games and they're getting that instant gratification. Well, then they go to school and the teacher's not able to give that to them. So they're bored, and it's taken as they're not smart or they're not able to do the work, and it's really just they're not engaged. And so being able to provide those other learning opportunities really is able, and then for me to write a report to add to maybe a progress meeting that they're having is also helpful for the parents. So really, it's a huge realm of the kids that I work with. I mean, I work with very severe, special needs kids to kids that, you would never even know had any difficulties. But sometimes it's just social awkwardness. They may not be able to make a friend or initiate a conversation. And so it could be something like that. But it's also sometimes parents just don't have patience to take their kids to these things and kind of work through it. And so that's where I come in. And yeah, I mean, it's really anybody. I think it's just, if they have questions, they can call. I mean, that's what I tell people. If you are questioning something, then you should reach out to somebody because you're questioning it for a reason. A parent has kind of a gut instinct about what's going on with their child. So I always just say it's better safe than sorry. Call.
Because when you say behavioral challenges, you're not including things like ADHD or autism or anything like that.
Oh, yeah, that's one of autism's my specialty. I helped open a autism center for adolescents in Sacramento. That's where I went after I graduated. And what we did there is kind of the same thing that I'm doing now, but it was in a clinical setting at Sacramento State. It was in a big gym. And we just provided different activities. So we would set up if we were going to Boy Scouts or if we were going to this, and we would just teach them in the moment. So that's kind of my specialty is, the kids on the spectrum and ADHD. I have a love for these kids because they're really misunderstood. And so I had a couple kids in the school that I worked at that really got to my heart. So that's kind of what I'm studying now is how it impacts their learning and how different learning environments can really help them as far as they can't sit in a chair and then they get in trouble for not sitting in their chair. And so they're not able to learn. So I'm really trying to be able to get into schools to help teachers understand that there are differences and that if we change the way that we teach, then maybe the kid isn't really the problem. Maybe we just need different teaching styles. So.
And I remember seeing a documentary. I think it was the guy that brought what's his name? The big guy that does all the documentaries. What could be Columbine and
yeah, I don't know his name though, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I think he's got another one coming out, and it's about the Finnish education system where the kids are only in school half the amount of time, but they're learning a lot more than the other people, just because they change the way they that the kids interact rather than being in a boring still environment.
Right. I mean, that's the old way. You have to be able to change and adjust to the new times. I mean, there's half the kids in the classroom have some kind of special need, right? Every kid's unique. That's how I look at it. So why not integrate everybody and have different learning styles? But, teachers are, they're set in their ways sometimes, especially if they've been doing it for 20 years.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to, change those ways. So that's why, I left and do my own thing. And then I just know that I'm able to help people more. But yeah, ADHD is those parents, I'm telling you, they're godsends. It's a difficult thing to deal with.
Now, when you're dealing with people, like say, with ADHD, and you're seeing them making progress, have you seen them? And I don't know, because I'm not a parent, so I really don't know that much about this arena. But have you noticed that I know a lot of people that are ADHD, they take medication, they take pharmaceutical medications. Mm-hmm. Have you seen that? Did that drop any since us dealing with kids?
Yeah, so there's and forgive me, I can't think of his name right now. I've worked with a doctor. He actually helps kids with ADHD get off the medication by doing different types of therapy and using holistic supplements, which I'm a true believer in. Now, I'm not completely against medication because there are some kids that you tried everything and finally you're just like, I just don't know, and it works, So I think it's for every individual, but I'm definitely more of a holistic approach. I've definitely helped, I don't know, a handful of kids definitely get off of medication from just being able to teach them in the actual moment, because that's what they're missing. Their impulse is, they can't control that impulse. And so you can teach them all you want in a classroom or in a speech room, but when they get out there, they just don't have the strategies to control that impulse, and it's not their fault. And so if you teach them in the moment and you give them those strategies, then it's kind of integrated into their mind where it just becomes natural rather than, okay, what did my speech therapist tell me I was supposed to do? And you have to think of it, So yeah, I mean, it definitely helps with that. That's another passion of mine, is because, I don't want kids out there kind of medicated and, groggy, and some of them gain weight. There's just so many different things that come with it.
Well, that's just the outward appearance. I mean, what's going on their inside?
Exactly.
Their liver, their kidneys.
Oh, it's so much. It's like, yeah, I mean, there's so many other approaches, but the, pharmaceutical ways. They just, they don't want to tell you that because they're going to lose their money.
Right.
um,
Well, I mean, I see that aspect, but yeah, it's not helpful to the client. It's not helpful to the
yeah.
patient. I guess.
Well, exactly. And they don't educate them on that. So that's kind of like my mission, is just to kind of get the word out there. And I advocate for parents, they can call me for free advice anytime. I'm very familiar with like it's IEP system. So a lot of kids with special needs have an individual education plan. So I'm very familiar with that. I am very, have a passion for helping parents, because a lot of times what happens is they get this IEP, which is this huge document, and they've never seen it, and then they go in and people are telling them all this stuff, and then they're like, sign here, and it's kind of like you're getting bullied and you don't even know what you're signing for.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really have passion for helping parents understand what's going on and what is available to them, because a lot of times the services are available and they don't know.
Right, and that's the thing is, I did not know people like you existed until either today or when we first talked. But I didn't really know what you really did all that in depth until right now. So I would not even know if you even thought to look for you.
Yeah, it's funny. They people say, oh, you help people with their speech, like articulation. Say the S sound, or have a stutter, and I'm like, that's like this much, and we, our whole like what we actually do is gigantic. So thank you for having me on here so I can spread the word.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm looking at your website right now, and I see most of the kids are really young. They're like under 10 years old. At least going by the pictures on your site. I mean, I'm just going to flash images. Is that what who you mainly deal with? Is much younger children?
I've worked everywhere from infants to adults. Adults with like brain cancer or memory loss. I also volunteer to do that just because my mom passed away of that. So, but my passion is younger kids, because I feel like they have so much they want to learn, and they don't have those set ways yet, whereas you go to high school, they're not so much willing to change and to learn. They have to have that, really powerful why. And so I do work with all levels, but that's just why there's so many pictures, because that's really where my passion is, because it makes me happy to see them grow and to change. And that's the age when they're willing to do that, So, and that's really when parents seek a lot of help, is that younger age in elementary. So a lot of times if you get private practices, the majority of them are going to be using elementary school, because the parents are reaching out so early.
Because that's when the problems are getting noticed, because that's in kindergarten, first, second grade. Now they're not running around with mom and dad anymore. They're sitting in a classroom, sitting to sit up straight, paying attention to the teacher.
Yeah, and the teacher, and then it's a different perspective, because as a parent, you're like, oh, my kid's fine, and then they go into school, and then the teacher brings something up that you didn't even notice, or you wouldn't, because you're a parent, or you kind of close your eye to, right? Because you're like, oh, it'll work itself out, so usually around kindergarten, unless it's something more severe, it's kindergarten or first grade, because they really start seeing those difficulties being able to sit in a chair or socialize or learn, also. So.
Yeah, okay. Wow. And well, that's commendable that you're doing something like that. So thank you for doing that. Now, you said this all started with your mother, correct? It wasn't anything to do with your child having difficulties.
My child? No. It was when my mom first got brain cancer. She didn't have full on speech, but her speech was definitely impacted, because obviously her brain got opened up, and it was just interesting to me to see her process of herself, of like really kind of teaching her, how her mouth moves and being able to say the sounds right and not stutter her words or slur her words. And so I didn't even know speech therapy existed at that point. And so I just started researching it, and I was looking for my next degree, because in psychology, you can't really do much with it until you have your next degree. I learned that at a young age too. And so then I just went into that field, because I knew that was, and as soon as I started, it was like a match made in heaven. I knew that's what I was supposed to do. So to this day, it comes natural to me, and I love it, because the kids, they need so much love and so much help. They need just people to nurture them. So they don't always get that at home, and they don't always get that at school. So there's me, Superwoman.
Well, thank you. I thank you for helping people out like that. And that's really, really awesome to do that. That's, and the fact that that you're making changes and differences in other people's lives, and as those kids are getting older, and you're not only helping that kid, but also the family and also the community overall.
Yeah, it's pretty rewarding. You know, I had a kid that's now in high school that I worked with when he was started in fourth grade, and he just contacted me. He's come so far. He's like, you know, captain of the football team, and before he couldn't even talk to kids when I first started working with him. So it's good to see, you know, this huge transition of all my kids now.
And you kind of look at them as your kids as well, because you know you
Yeah,
get so.
yeah. I check in with them. Are you doing your homework? Are you doing this? You know, how is the girl situation? Yeah.
Well, now I'm going to ask you, I guess, a couple of the other questions that we have on the thing here. How did you tell us to me, I guess, a little bit about some of your early successes with either MySkool or let's just stay with MySkool for now. What were some of your early successes as you were getting started?
Early successes, I think, you know, they came at a slow pace, you know, but there's also quite a lot now, because I look at it as definitely when I was very lucky in Sacramento when I started my career to have met a gentleman to help open the Autism Center, because I had just gotten my degree, and he was a doctorate at Sacramento State, and he taught me so much about being a therapist and communicating and writing goals that are actually measurable and beneficial for the student. And so I think that was my first early success, is meeting him, because he really paved the way for my success now. I mean, most people don't have their own practice 6-7 years into being a speech therapist, you know? So he really, I think, set the way for that. So I'm very grateful for that. And then just really successes as far as just finding people and mentoring people. You know, I really find that my success kind of comes from helping others, and I really thrive on that. And so I give back a lot to the speech community and to new students that are in the program, because there was a million times I wanted to quit, and I said, I'm quitting tomorrow and I'm never going to make it, you know? So I just like to show them and mentor them, and have me put them into different sites, and for them to get those hours that they need to show them that you can do it, because here I am, you know? So those are my successes. I think there's a few kid successes. I had a girl that was selectively mute, which most people relate to having an early traumatized experience, and that wasn't the case. She basically was very, very verbal everywhere except for the minute she stepped on campus. And so I worked with her for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, you know, and it was amazing to hear her speak at school with me and laugh and giggle, and that I'll never forget, you know. She's now in 6th grade and communicates on her new campus almost the first day, which was huge, you know, because she's massively terrified of people. That's what we found out. So that's probably one that sticks with me the most. And the captain of the football team, you know, he calls me every week, but that's different. You know, so there's just many. There's all the time, every day, you know, because kids grow so much and they learn, and they want to share their successes with you. So that's what's also great. You know, like with adults, they're kind of like, even if you do great things for them, you know, they're not really excited about it, or, you know.
Well, because we tend to beat ourselves up, and you know, to minimize all your successes, and now you've got to go out there and celebrate those successes.
Right. You know, and I mean, I had this one grumpy old man. He had a stroke, and then his wife brought him in, and he did not want to take any advice from me, who was, you know, 40 years younger than him or something. I don't know how old he was, but he was so stubborn. But by the end, she goes, tell her what you told me last night. And he said, well, this was the best choice I ever made. So, you know, he could be grumpy, but it still worked out because he got his memory back, you know. I mean, he was forgetting everything. He was forgetting what a cup was called, and he just needed some, you know, like word memory games, and to really just trigger that activate the brain in that area. And his wife couldn't do that. She says, I don't know what you need. And so, yeah, that was kind of a cool thing. But yeah, I mean, I love my job. I get success stories probably too often.
Well, with successes also comes challenges. So were there any early challenges that you would like to share?
You know, I've been pretty lucky because I've kind of just got clients from being in that community. So I've been pretty lucky in that sense. Challenges was, you know, starting a fitness center and a meal prep company in between quitting my job and kind of wanting to do the speech thing. And so that's been a huge challenge because I put my focus on that. And so finding my way back to not that that's not a passion, but my real passion of why I left my job 2 years ago has been kind of a challenge, because it was hard to go to the Las Vegas conference and speak about my MySkool business because I hadn't spoke about it for so long. It was really hard. Every time I got up, I wanted to speak about Enjoy Food, which is my other company, and it was really challenging, you know. So I think that's been my biggest challenge with the speech company or the speech practice, is building it honestly for me, I kind of did the gym and the food thing for so many other people because they needed it rather than what I really wanted to do. So kind of trying to stay focused has been a challenge.
Well, and that's good that you're saying that and that you're admitting that, because there's going to be a lot of entrepreneurs that are going to be listening to this show, because a lot of the people that I deal with are brand new entrepreneurs, or just need to, maybe they're even just not getting started, and they have these challenges like, how do I share my message? How do I share what I want to talk about?
Yeah.
And it's actually just, you're kind of just saying it right there, is just go do it.
Right.
And,
you're only going to learn, sorry about that. You're only going to learn by doing it. I was so afraid of failing, or I learned from that conference. That was the biggest thing. I had to go to that conference to let go of this other company that's taking my time. And going to that conference really made me see that there's so many other entrepreneurs out there. I mean, there was 500 people there or something, right? And everybody was talking about this business failed, and now I'm doing this business. And it's like, it's not really, Allison taught us, it's not that you're failing. It's that you've learned from it and you've grown from it. And without that experience, you couldn't have the next one. So it really helps me kind of be okay with letting go and knowing as an entrepreneur that you did your best, and it's not even that the other one's failing. I'm choosing to do this, do another business. So it's kind of, entrepreneurship is hard. It's very hard. You have to network and you have to get out there, because otherwise you're alone, and that's scary.
Well, and that's the good thing about going to these networking events. And even though, like, say, you and I, we live in different cities and different states. I'm in Las Vegas. You're in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And, but the thing is, you do meet other entrepreneurs, and just having that as a support system, just say, hey, let's just call every couple of weeks. Like you said, the ninth grader, he still calls in and says, even though we're not paying you anymore, you're not I'm not your client anymore. However, you can still check in with other people that are going along the same path. And that, to me, is one of the biggest things, is if you get to go to these big conferences like that, and a lot of them are not that expensive. I mean, this was like under $500.
Right. And it was like $1 million worth of information.
Yes.
It was amazing.
So go to those events, and even if you're just starting out and you don't have that much money, and yes, those events, I'm going to give away the secret here. They are going to upsell you.
Yeah, exactly.
They will.
Don't think they're not going to try to sell you something, because they are.
So be okay with that, because the thing is, if you're putting on your own conference and you want to get people there, you're going to give it to them at as break-even point as possible to get as many people there to hopefully get that 5, 10, or 15%, or even 25% of people to buy into your program. That's just how it's done. But the thing is, even if you're not going to be buying into the upper level stuff, there's going to be tidbits of information that you're going to learn, and that's going to be integral in the business. I know for me, attending the event, I've done quite a few things differently since then. On our pre-interview, before the call, we spent, Annette and I spent about 20 minutes on some techie stuff. I was actually spending with her. I was doing all the talking. But this is stuff I probably may not have implemented it because of the conference. Like, you know what? I've heard this 30 times already. Why don't I just start doing this? It's like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have done this the first time. So yes, go to those events.
The information they give you is, it's definitely immeasurable. I mean, I knew going in there that I wasn't going to be spending the top dollar like most of them. And I was very honest when we had the, 15-minute talks, and it was great because I already knew what I was going into, but I didn't get any less out of the conference because of that. I mean, there's times when I've gone and I've bought every product, that was there because I was able to at the time. But, yeah, I mean, it's just you just kind of go. I mean, that's why I think people are like, oh, I can't spend the money, or I can't do this. You just have to go. You have to find a way, because that's really going to change your career.
Well, because we at this event, all the people that were there actually had a 15-minute talk, 15-minute chance to talk to one of their coaches. We preset the time, and the gentleman that I came up and met with, actually I knew him from another company, and he gave me a formula that actually is like, oh my gosh, it's such a basic formula for building your business. And Annette is actually just starting to do this, so that's why I can't wait to share this with you. Is that this one little formula really will impact your business, and it's caused me to change some of the things that I was doing. And this was off of less than 5 minutes, because we talked about other things as well. And this formula that he gave is very simple. So those of you out there that are listening, go ahead and write this down. Those of you that don't have paper and pen, it's a very simple formula. You should hopefully you can remember it. And it's V plus C equals P. So that V is in Victor plus C is in Charlie equals Paul. Pretty easy one to remember.
V plus C. Uh-huh.
And what that stands for, V stands for visibility. How are you showing up out there? Are you doing, like in this case, podcasts? Are you doing blogs? Are you writing a book? Are you being on stage speaking? So visibility, the more visibility that you have, the more people are going to see you. C stands for the word credibility. So when you putting out content, is it accurate? Is it accurate content? Is it stuff that actually helps people? Again, that will become from, say, writing a consistent blog or doing a podcast and say, okay, this is the expert on this. This is Annette Waters, she's a speech language pathologist at MySkool. So right there, that starts to build credibility because you're being on other people's shows. And the equals part, obviously just an equal sign, the letter P stands for profitability. So the more visible you are, the more credible you are, the more money you're going to make in your business.
Right. Easy.
So it's very easy.
That's all you got to do.
It's just like how people say, like if somebody wants to lose weight, and I heard this about 8 years ago, and the guy gave me these 4 words, and he goes, guaranteed to lose weight. Eat less, move more.
Yeah, exactly.
Very simple. Or more calories than you're taking in.
Exactly.
You're gonna lose weight.
Yeah.
But that by him saying that made me realize, like, okay, I need to do this. The podcast here gives me a lot of visibility.
Right.
The credibility is the consistency, and then what I'm doing in the back office. Like we were talking a little bit about how to increase your SEO, how to do your own shopping carts on your website, how to do landing pages. And that's where all the credibility is coming from. And then actually going and speaking on stages. So that's because of that, I've joined Toastmasters. I've joined the National Speakers Association. I know about this, and I would have given a talk with Toastmasters since the event. This event was only 2 weeks ago. So I've all of these action steps that I've taken since the event because I want to increase my visibility.
Right.
And by speaking more, I'm increasing my credibility.
Yeah.
And it's going to affect the bottom line.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you got to go into the events is one thing, and then putting it into action is another. I mean, I've gone to events and then I come home and then a month later I'm like, wait, I didn't do anything. I've learned my lesson about doing that. But this event, and anybody, I don't know if you're promoting it, but if anybody can go next year, I mean, it's life changing. It really is. I feel like it's really got something with that event. But yeah, that's the action part of it.
And for those of you that want to find out more information about that, you can actually send me an email, or actually you can send me an email at kevin@kevinadunlap.com, and I'll keep you guys informed. The reason I'm saying it that, and thank you, Annette, for saying that, is I am starting to build different affiliate partnerships. So that means, therefore, if she's going to say, hey, here's promotion that's going on, you guys contact me, I can put you on an email list, and then you guys can be notified of when her events comes on. And her name is Allison Masley. But I know on affiliate programs, they give you heads up weeks and months in advance. Okay, we're going to be promoting this real soon, so I can help you guys with that as well. Now, going back to the questionnaire, when you were first getting started, what were some of your early fears? What were some of the things that were possibly holding you back, regardless if they were real or imaginary?
I think just being successful. I had clients when I had my, I'll say my steady job. Your 8 to 5 job in the school system, making all kinds of money, and then to do your own thing. So I always had that, but I was always just scared to take that leap. Oh my gosh, I'm going to quit my job, and then what? And then how can I provide for my daughter? And it was really frightening. It really was frightening to think, okay, well, now I'm the only person. How am I going to make this happen? So that was a scary part. Will I be able to get enough clients? How will I do it? I've never had my own business. I mean, this is almost 2.5, 3 years ago now. So, I mean, I've come so far, but I didn't have the network I have now. I started the speech business, and you just kind of network within the educational network, versus when I started the gym, the fitness center, and the meal prep company, I ventured out to everybody. And that really is what helped me get over my fears, because I took business advice from everyone because I didn't know, I mean, running a speech business is pretty simple. I mean, I do my clients and, I do my own books. It's not very complicated, but when you get into other businesses like I have, it can be very complicated. But just one, I think being successful was my number one fear. Providing for my daughter was my number one fear, and being successful because I wanted to show her that she could be anything she wanted to be, and that, as long as she believed she could do it. So if I didn't do it, then what does that show her? So that was another fear for me, is just showing her that it's possible. And then just being alone, like working in the schools and working on teams for so long. When you're a speech therapist, you always need something new comes up, and to not be able to have anyone to bounce an idea off of was kind of frightening. But then realizing you do have people, I do have connections, just reaching out to them, because even though you're not on campus with them and can talk to them face to face, it doesn't mean that they're not there. So I think just not wanting to feel alone, and, being successful to show my daughter was the main thing. But that's all taken care of now, so I have different fears.
Well, any fears that you want to share that you're now having, now that you've come along this last few years?
I really want to, my fear of, I have a control issue. That's how my food company all is letting go, I really am passionate about what I do. And so I provide I know I provide quality service, and I know that I make an impact on these kids' lives. And so expanding my business is scary, because how do I know that they'll provide the same thing I am, but they'll provide it because I'm going to train them, and they'll be trained by me. So hopefully, I don't have to have that fear. I gained that confidence at the conference. I can't be the only one in the business, otherwise it won't grow. So just letting go of that fear of like, I have to do everything, is huge. And I've started doing that. I've started allowing people to help me with my website and all these different piece by piece slowly. And so it's helped a lot, not having to do everything, which is like impossible. And then I think, again, just having that balance, I work a lot. And so the fear of not having that balance once I grow it, because, I'm slowly letting the food business go. And so I'm going to have more time. And then am I going to fill that with this business, and growing it? So I don't know. That's another fear, is not being able to find that balance, which is a big, I think that's every entrepreneur's fear. Because I work 24 hours a day. If I would, to build it. Which is not healthy. So
you need at least your 4 hours of sleep. So.
Right. Yeah. That's about average what I get. So yeah, there's new fears. As you get bigger and you grow, you're always going to have new fears. But, if you don't face them, then you're not living. So that's how I look at it. Might as well just go for it.
Well, and I'm proud that you did that, because when you were leaving the school system, was that a slow process, or did you just like up and quit?
Well, it's interesting. It was kind of just one day, and I was just working with this kid, and I was just so frustrated by the teacher not responding to the therapy plans and whatnot, and the kid constantly being in trouble, that I just was like, I can't do it anymore. And so I said, I quit. I sent my notice in, and they're like, what do you mean you quit today? And so I actually sent my notice in October, but I held out. I stayed the whole entire year, so I didn't leave until June. But they kept asking me every month, are you sure? And I did not change my mind that whole entire time. So I knew it was a drawn out process, because I told them that I would stay, because it would be very hard to find someone to replace me. And I love my kids, so I didn't want to leave them high and dry, But
that gave you time to start building your business, building your own business.
Exactly. But I knew that day I knew that I had to go. I didn't give any less, I gave the same great service, or, provided for the kids, but I knew that day I was just had to go. So, because it's ethical issues, it's like the way I believe to teach and the way some of the school systems have to teach, because it's the state law, it just doesn't align. So you want to be ethical, stay there.
Oh man, I'm glad that you are here. I'm glad to hear that you did that, but also that you stayed and finished out the year, because I call that would have been a take to the students, and possibly even to the school, and it wasn't based upon the students or the school itself. It was just the bureaucracy of just the school system, and then whatever else these other teachers were or were not doing.
Exactly. Many teachers stay in because the longer you stay, then you get your tenure, and then you're locked in, and it's like, that's not really why I'm in the educational field. I feel like if I wasn't happy, then the kids aren't going to be happy. So I think it was just something, yeah, I mean, it is the best decision I made for my life, put it that way. I'm able to be there and pick my daughter up from school. It's just a huge difference in everything. So if anybody out there, is questioning it, you just got to go for it. You really do, because you'll find a way. It's like fight or flight, right?
Well, there's always a way. And the fact that you gave yourself basically an 8-month timeline to adjust to the new situation gave you plenty of time to start, creating your website, creating your business card, creating your curriculum, and then going out there and starting to find students on the private side, or even converting the ones at school to the private side, unless that was a conflict of interest.
It was a conflict of interest. They normally don't want you to do that, so I did not approach any of those. But as soon as the day I left, they all came to me. They approached me, so I wasn't working for them anymore, so it was okay. But yeah, I mean, I definitely stayed ethical to my job and to my practice and whatnot. Something else I was going to say, I forgot. Maybe I'll remember before the end.
I'm sure it will come back to you.
Okay.
And then because you shared your fears, you shared your successes, and you shared some of your challenges. What about some of and everybody wants, because this is where we all learn from. And as an entrepreneur, we learn more from our setbacks and our perceived failures than anything else. So are there any things that you had to go through that could be considered either a setback or a failure?
Don't start 3 businesses at one time. It kind of wasn't by choice. It kind of just ended up happening, right? I was like making clean meals for people, and then it just turned into this company, and then I was training people, and it just turned into this gym. It was like not on purpose. So yeah, don't ever do that, anybody. And just failures of having to do it all myself. It really impacted a lot of my businesses. So instead of my businesses being, number 1, there may be like number 3 or 4, because there's not enough time for it to be number 1, because you're getting pulled each and every way. And, just build one and make it great, and then sell it or move on or have somebody else run it and build another one. That's what I've learned. Because you can't do it all, and use other people. I was building my websites, doing my books. It's just because you think you're saving money, but you're not. You're just pulling your hair out, and it's just making you crazy.
And that's absolutely true. And for those of you that are just starting businesses, I would say you can start hiring out on the small side. And I know I've talked about this on other shows. It could be hiring somebody for a temp. It could be hiring a virtual assistant. It could be going to websites like Fiverr.com to have somebody design your business card for you for a one-time gig.
Right.
And start hiring out some of that stuff out. Get used to hiring it out. Then when it starts becoming second nature, then that's when you may take on that 1099 employee or that W-2 wage earner employee. A very good friend of mine that was launched earlier before this show is a lady by the name of Diane Forrester. And early on, and this was a couple of years ago, she hired a personal assistant before she could afford that personal assistant.
Right.
But that personal assistant saved her so much money, allowed her to have so much more free time. She could go out and earn more money, and therefore now she can support herself as a personal assistant.
And that's what they tell you, all the business advice. Everybody was, telling me these things, but I never followed it. And I listened. I'm like, yeah, I got to do that this week. I got to find somebody to help me. And I'm telling, that's the best advice I could give people. Listen to the people that have already done it, because they know they're telling you this for a reason. And you just get burnt out, and then nothing's going to be successful. And so that's why I went to the conference, to reset myself, and it worked, So, I mean, if you're ever feeling like that, you just got to go be around other entrepreneurs, and you got to find a great conference or seminar or something, and it really will just really go and refocus. But I think that's like my one thing, my lesson learned is just try not to do it all. There's people out there that are willing to help and accept their help, because if I'm in the kitchen all the time, I can't build my business. That's what I've learned with the other company.
You can't be with your daughter. You can't, there's so many other things you're not able to do that, like, why are you working so hard? And you used to, when I had gathered, you were either divorced or you weren't married at the time that this was going on. So you didn't have another support system to either bring in finances or to take care of your child.
Yeah. So It's been fun. It's definitely been a road traveled very long, but I'm finding, I'm starting to listen and grow this business now, so it's definitely a lot better. Yeah.
Fantastic. I think you're a very noble. Uh, this is a very noble thing that you're doing. So, where do you see yourself, say, 12, 24 months from now, the next 1 to 2 years?
So my goal, for the next 12, 24 months, let's see. So 1 to 2 years is really having, I say 2 employees, maybe more, but that's my goal for the next 12 months is to get 2 employees or 2 other clinicians that feel passionate about educating the way I do. Because I think that it's a huge thing, if you believe in education one way, then you can't teach it the other way, so really people that have the same vision as I do is really important to me. And that's not always easy to find because you come from a college that's educating you to learn a certain way to teach this certain way, so it really has to be, kind of open-minded. So that's why I'm getting out there and volunteering more into the colleges and whatnot to kind of let everybody know about this way of teaching. The schools are it's so the kind of like the learn, create, share kind of model where they're doing now in a lot of the schools. It's kind of like a hands-on thing. They're doing more class interactives and then they're sharing about it. They're kind of gearing that way, so you are seeing a lot of changes, and that's being taught in the colleges now. So that's great. So that is one plus side, but for me, it's like, I would want a school without walls. That's my vision. It's like you can go, the world is your school, so we could go anywhere, There's actually, I wanted to say this on my website too. There's a YouTube video. If anyone wants to learn about this, it's called Hacking My Education, and it's a TED Talk. It's this kid, I think he was like 12, 13 maybe at the time. He's amazing. He talks about his parents pulling him out of school and homeschooling him and how he hacks his education. This talk will change your world. I'm telling you, if you have kids and you're wondering about it, he really just talks about the impact and how everybody judged his parents on taking him out of school and homeschooling him. And he was kind of upset, because he was leaving his friends and he didn't realize the world that he was about to create. Now he's like a known professional kind of skier too. So I kind of been following him on Instagram and stuff. So that really was another, he was only like 12 at the time, I think, but really was a passion of mine. I just kind of followed what he said, He said that a lot of times when people ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And everybody comes up with like astronaut and all these different things. And he's like, nobody ever says happy, he's like, that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be happy. And my parents gave that to me, And so I think it's true to that, to stay true to that. It's just, we don't know what these kids want. We don't know what they want to learn. Everybody learns differently. So until they find out, just let them, explore the world. So that's really what my vision is kind of getting that message out there and finding 2 other people to help me because I can't do it by myself.
And I mean, there's so many logistics things out there. I mean, there's things that you could hire on people that are fellow speech pathologists, and then they could obviously grow your business because you have more people that you're working with under your umbrella. Or there could be admin people. There could be all kinds of other stuff out there as well.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
well, that's good. I mean, so taking on employees is a very big step. I've interviewed a few people that were very hesitant on taking on employees because they don't want to put up with the headache of that employee.
Yeah. That's why I haven't yet. And it's like, I got to change that behavior if I'm going to be successful. You just really have to. And whether it's a clinician or somebody else just to help me with all the other stuff, it's just two employees somehow, some way to help me grow,
Okay. And any other upbeat moments or lessons that you've learned as being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, there's so many. I think, never, I say take every opportunity that you can. I welcome meeting everybody. I go to networking events at least twice a week. I belong to 2 networking groups. I just really, the visibility part, right? And for me, that's how I learned how to grow a business. I didn't know anything about business, and I welcome everybody's advice. It's kind of like Skittles. I tell everybody, I'm like, I take it all in. There's all these different flavors, and then I just I keep the ones I want, and the other ones I don't, I just throw it, right? So it's like, it doesn't matter if you don't agree with their opinion. It's just a matter of hearing it, and you never know who's going to have that one piece of information for you. So really just getting out there and networking. I mean, that's what's kind of saved me through all of this, and not being fearful of trying new things. I think that's what stops a lot of us is like, we have these great ideas as entrepreneurs, right? We're creative and we come up with all these things, but then we're so afraid of, implementing it, or we don't have the time to implement it. It's like, you just got to do it, and then that's where your success comes from. Because when I'm hesitant, I follow that 5-second rule. There's that book, the 5-second rule, genius book. You're going to know if you can't decide in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, then maybe you shouldn't do it. So that's kind of like my rule of thumb. But yeah, I don't know, just go and take every opportunity you can. Like this podcast, thank you very much. I just, take it. And then if it wasn't great, then you just learn from it and, don't do it again. But
well, there's the one person that it was aired early on. We shot the podcast, and he really did like the result of it. So we shot another podcast. I'm just threw the first one away.
Oh, nice.
I've actually, everybody that I've interviewed that had, well, obviously the ones that have aired have aired. However, the other one that has been recorded that hasn't aired yet, I have all intentions to relaunch every single one of them.
Yeah.
Because I go to a podcaster's meetup function here in Las Vegas that meets on the second Wednesday of every month.
Mm-hmm.
And even the people that put on the actual event, they had an interview-based about podcasting. They said they've only not launched one person, and it was because they interviewed her, and then she did something really, really stupid about two weeks later in the public eye. Like, to be frank, I don't know who it was, but really denouncing people that made her look really bad. They said, you know what, we don't want to be tied to her. We're not going to launch her podcast. They've launched everyone. So I'm taking that as a rule of advice as well. Some shows are phenomenal. Some shows are, they're okay, and they're informative.
Right.
So, they're still, like we were saying, going to these networking events, going to these weekend workshops. There's always something that you can learn from everybody.
Yeah. And then a lot of times, a lot of the stuff that you need is free.
Yes.
It blows my mind that, I go to these networking events and I belong to these groups, and it's like everybody wants to give me, their free advice, which they charge people like hundreds of dollars for. I'm like, heck yeah, I'm going to come to your event, And it's just crazy that it's so, there's so many things out there, especially because of social media, that you can educate yourself and build a business for free. There's no reason you shouldn't be successful because it's out there. You just got to apply it.
Well, and it's absolutely true if you're willing and able to learn. When I first started Clinical Perspectives, which is the parent company of my coaching business, my business entrepreneur coaching business, I watched a YouTube video on how to build a WordPress website. I had no idea how to do a WordPress website. It was a 3-hour video. It took me 12 hours to watch it over 3 days.
Yeah.
Like replay.
That's how I built my website.
And I think that's how I learned. Now, one of my biggest things is if I don't know the answer to something, usually I will either Google it or YouTube it.
Yeah.
The two biggest search engines out there.
Right. And it's like you have it at your fingertips, that's why there's so many entrepreneurs in the world now, because you have it at your fingertips. If you have an idea, you don't want to build somebody else's dream, build your own. So that's why I'm always going to work for myself now. Maybe not this, but I'm going to find something new if this doesn't work out.
The thing is, there is a time to go ahead and just shut the doors on a business if it's no longer working, because the markets change, things change. One of my favorite monologues is from a movie called Other People's Money, and it's a Danny Devito monologue.
Yeah.
And the movie's from the 80s.
Uh-huh.
And what the movie's about, Danny Devito runs a company that basically takes businesses, sells all others that are not doing well, buys all other stock, shuts them down, and then liquidates the entire company.
Oh, geez.
And his character's known as Larry the Liquidator.
Uh-huh.
And he's going in to take down this steel manufacturing company in this small town that I want to say Philadelphia somewhere.
Uh-huh.
This is the main source of income for that whole town. And he's going to liquidate it. And it sounds like he's the bad guy, but he's not the bad guy. And there's a monologue that he gives, and he's at the stockholder meeting, and he gives this phenomenal monologue. And one of the references he makes to are these things as buggy whips. He goes, there was a day out there was all these great buggy whip manufacturers, and then when we went to the horseless carriage, It says, even if you're the best buggy whip manufacturer out there, at some point in time, you have to stop making buggy whips because you don't need them anymore. And he talks about that, and the whole movie is about he comes off so very convincing. So but the thing is, after his monologue is like, yes, this company should be shut down. Yes, it will completely destroy the local economy, but it should be shut down.
Right.
But then there's a silver lining that happens later on. So you can watch the movie again. I think it came out like in '87 or '88, so it is a little dated.
Yeah, that's okay. Nice.
But it's a phenomenal movie, and I love that monologue. Do a YouTube search on Monologue, Danny Devito monologue on Other People's Money.
I will. Perfect. Thank you.
Well, of course. I always like to give a little bit of, because I'm a big movie fan. So one of the things, and I don't normally talk about this, I wrote a book called Designing Your Own Destiny, which is about you creating a pathway or the pathway from where you are today to where you want to be, mainly as a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
And I did something that no other book that I am aware of has ever done.
Mm-hmm.
It's that, okay, first off, we learn through three main modalities.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be your sight, your hearing, or touch, which is hands-on kinesthetic. Obviously, the other two are taste and smell. Those aren't big learning modalities. We don't learn how to be a better person because of smell.
Yeah.
Or how to build a bicycle because of smell.
Right.
In most motivational type books, when they do a quote, it's going to be a quote like by John F. Kennedy,
Mm-hmm.
or Mother Teresa, or Helen Keller, or somebody like that. Most likely, when you read that quote, it's going to be a feel-good quote. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Like if Gandhi said, "Man is the circumference of a circle with no border," or however it goes. It's like you get the feeling of that quote.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be different. I always want to be a little bit. So all of my quotes in my book, Designing Your Own Destiny, were all quotes by fictitious people. They did not exist. So if I read a quote to you that says, one of the first quotes, I would even read it from the book.
Okay.
I believe this is the quote from chapter 1, and actually it's chapter 0, it's the introduction. And this is all about embracing change. You want to do something different. Most of you out there, once I get to the third sentence, you would go to know exactly where this quote came from.
Okay.
However, let me ask you, what is your experience of this quote? And here we go. This is your last chance. After this, there's no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I'll show you just how deep this rabbit hole goes. Mentioned by Morpheus in The Matrix from 1999.
Yep.
Now, the quote itself, does that have a very, if you did not see the movie, does that have it's just you have to take a chance, you have to do something different. That's what the quote's about.
Right.
Now, those of you that saw the movie The Matrix, did you just hear Lawrence Fishburne mention that did you just hear his voice in your head? Did you see the image from the movie?
Yeah, but he didn't say that, right? He said something else.
No, that was his exact quote.
Oh, was it? Okay. Yeah.
So therefore, because I wanted to hit all three modalities, all my quotes were movie quotes.
Nice.
So I got Shrek quote.
That's what I thought of. That's funny. That's immediately what I thought of.
Well, that's why, because when you say you take the blue pill, people also, I've heard that quote. I know what movie that is, even though you might have seen it for 15 years.
Right. Cool. Very cool. I'm going to have to get that book for sure.
Oh, thank you. Well, Annette, we're wrapping up here. Are there any last words, anything else that you want to say to the audience before we go? Oh, actually, I'm not going to go quite that route yet. Forgot to get how the people contact you. Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah.
So if people wanted to contact you, especially if they're in the Bay Area, they want to talk with you about speech pathology and hiring you for that, or possibly getting about your meal prep stuff, or even about buying your database of people, because you never know. You never know what's going to happen. What's the best way to contact you? Do you have like a website or a Facebook page or something like that? That's the best way to contact you?
Yeah, so my website is www.myskool, MySkool.org. And then I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. So same thing. It's on Instagram, it's LCS / so it's Learn, Create, Share / MySkool.
What was that on Instagram again?
So it's LCS, and then it's underscore, and then MySkool, MySkool. So learn, create, share. That's what LCS stands for. And then on Facebook, it's just Facebook/MySkool. And then my email is also it's lcs.myschool@gmail.com.
Okay. And why did you pick the spelling of school with a K instead of the traditional H?
One more time?
So why did you pick the letter K for school instead of the letter H?
I just wanted it to be unique, and if you just put my school, people associate my school with just regular school. So I feel like kids can associate this with something that's different, that's unique, and it's theirs. So it catches people's eye like, oh, you're an educator and you spelled my school wrong. No, I did it on purpose. It just gets conversation going. So, and it just looks cooler.
Oh, I'm just curious because I did see that, like, okay, I want to make sure I got that right.
Yeah.
You didn't say MySkool for the beginning of the show, so people are going after this. I can't find her.
Yeah, so I should have mentioned that early on. I forgot about that. But yeah, it's mainly came from just, thinking, I believe every child is unique, so why not have a unique way of spelling it? So, because usually kids spell like school would be SK, right? That's how they would sound it out. Mm-hmm. So that's where it came from.
Well, I was just curious there. I was just wondering because if the domain name wasn't available or if it was actually.
Oh, no, yeah. Everybody asked me that too, though. No, it's just usually when I think about my kids, my special needs kids, they spell it SK. They don't, they just go SS, So it came kind of from them.
Okay. Well, as I just briefly asked you a moment ago, are there any last words or any last things that you would like to share with the audience before we say goodbye?
I just want to, say that if you are a parent and even if you're not in the Bay Area, you can call me. I don't know if you're going to put it up on the podcast, but I'm more than willing to answer any questions. Just ask for help before you go into IEP meetings. If you're unsure if your kid has difficulties, it doesn't hurt to call somebody because it's better to do it now than later because it's their future, and people wait. Some parents are just not sure and they have a general education, typical developing kid. And then, in high school, they come and they have all these difficulties with bullying. So that's my one advice. It's just, if you're not sure, ask.
Okay. And if they were to contact you, I'm assuming you only work local, as far as your students, because if a kid sitting here in front of the computer, they're only going to get so much benefit.
Well, I do actually do sessions online. So I do actually I help advocate parents, obviously on the phone. I can do anywhere across the world. And I do therapy with a couple high school kids that are in another state. They log in and whatever it might be, there are less severe needs, obviously. But there's a lot of therapy that can be done. I can do pretty much any kind of therapy over the internet, believe it or not.
That's good to know. So those of you that are out there that may have a child that has these kinds of issues that they need to be addressed, and you want somebody that's actually outside the educational system, then Annette's going to be a perfect person to contact. And it doesn't matter if you live in the Bay Area or not. You could be living in Miami, Florida. Okay. Well, I do want to say thank you again for being on the show. I do appreciate it. I've learned a lot from you. And I want to talk to you about a couple of things offline as well.
Okay.
So I just want to again say thank you again. And I would say, I guess, the audience, stay tuned for one of our next episodes. And if those of you that are actually just starting businesses, don't hesitate to give me a call. If you go to you send me actually a text message, if you send it to 40691 and use the word podcast, I'll reach out to you. And then we may also be able to work a way that we can actually do an initial consultation for free as well. So, but Annette, thank you again for being on the show. And everybody, I want to say everybody have a good day.
All right. Thanks. Take care.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Life's Little Lessons with your host, author of Designing Your Own Destiny, Kevin A. Dunlap. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit kevinadunlap.com, facebook.com/kevinadunlap.author, and on Twitter @KevinADunlap. We'll catch you on the next episode of Life's Little Lessons.